G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, welcome to the G'day Gridiron podcast brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. It is NFC East time. Brad says it's the greatest division in football, but he is a Cowboys fan, so every year does start out as their year. Brad, we're back once again to preview a division, or not preview, break down a division. Other way around, we'll do previews later. We're going to break down the division, the NFC East, and how they went. Are you ready to do a bit of a breakdown on your division, Brad?
I am ready as a Chuck Norris heart punch. Come on.
Oh, that's a bit. Come
Whoa,
on, Brad.
What?
Brad.
Oh, I love Chuck Norris. That was
Have you not heard the news, Brad?
No, I have. But God bless Chuck Norris. He was a great man. That wasn't a dig. There is no...
Can the show.
There is...
We're going to get cancelled now.
Cancelled.
Come on.
Fuck. Thanks a lot, Brad.
There is no show better than Walker, Texas Ranger. Let me tell you. Oh man.
I'm not going to disagree, Brad. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. I am excited to be. Take 2, 3, 2, 1.
We lost two legends this week, Brad, and Chuck Norris was right at the top.
Yes.
I found it very ironic that the day we lost Chuck Norris, within hours we also lost the actor that played Xander on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Coincidence? I think not.
Did you just call Xander a legend? Because I'm sorry, but
he did.
I'm sorry. We're not putting Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the man who starred alongside Bruce Lee in the same sentence. All right.
Hey, in this household, mate, Nicholas Brandon, he gave us something. Okay, he gave us the name for our son. So.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Yeah.
So,
actually, I've never, to be honest with you, I've never seen an episode of Buffy, so I can't say.
I'm stopping this podcast right now.
That's it. No more.
We're done.
We're
done. That's it. This is officially the last podcast of the G'day Gridiron that you'll ever hear.
I apologize for that.
Brad can start his own fucking podcast.
It's going to be all Chuck Norris all the time.
I'm back in. I'm back in. All right. It is absolutely fitting that you are talking about Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger, considering we are going down to the NFC East for a breakdown this evening. And what a breakdown the NFC East has given us in the past. There has always been that one team, though, lately that has really struggled, Brad. I don't know. I want Brad to
Just
start.
One?
I want Brad to start every one of these.
No, you don't, because then we will get canceled.
Are we going to start with the Giants, boys, or do we end with the most exciting franchise in the division?
Didn't the
Well, we
Commanders
can end
come
with
No,
Washington. For sure.
The Giants only got 4 wins, dude. They definitely came last.
There you go. Fuck, how good am I going?
They Commanders would have got last if Jackson Dart didn't get hurt.
Yes, you're exactly right.
All right. New York Giants ended the season 4-13, despite taking probably one of the most exciting quarterback prospects last year's draft in Jackson Dart. They, of course, started the year with Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, and Jameis Winston all in the QB room. Easily one of the most interesting quarterback rooms you could ever think of. They end the year and start this year with Jackson Dart and Jameis Winston. Everybody else, Russell Wilson's gone. Tommy DeVito's gone. They took Cam Skattebo as well. Malik Neighbors the year before. They've made some pretty good signings through free agency, some pretty good moves, including a Harbaugh as the new coach and Czar of the New York Giants, who's going to hopefully take them back to the promised land with, I'm going to put it out there as one of the most exciting rosters coming into this year's season. Isaac definitely agrees. Isaac, what do we reckon?
I do agree, and I spoke on last week's show about the potential from going worst to first, and this is another team that has the potential to go from worst to first just because of their roster.
Bullshit. Sorry.
Plus, they've still got the 5th overall pick in this year's draft, so they could add more to it. So it was so exciting seeing Jackson Dart and Skattebo last year, and pair them along with Neighbours and that Harbaugh defense. Like, I'm really excited to watch the Giants this year. I really am. And Brad, you can laugh all you want.
No, but, it was just the way you said, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch the Giants this year.
A little preview. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do, especially with hopefully Neighbours coming back, hopefully for the start of the season, to see how he goes with Jackson Dart. It's going to be interesting.
Interesting is the word for it. Hats off to them for bringing in Harbaugh. I love Harbaugh. I hate the fact that he's going to be in my division now with the NFC East, and I really like Jackson Dart, and I love Cam Skattebo. So it's great that they're bringing in all these guys. They're trying to do an identity change. They're going for more of the Baltimore feel, where they're tougher. They're more just, I think, in that Harbaugh mode. So is New York going to have the patience to do it? Harbaugh had a very long leash in Baltimore, and it wasn't always smooth sailing for him. Like, if he hadn't won that Super Bowl, he probably would have been out of the team. So, is New York known for its patience? No. But the fact that he is really trying to put his identity on the team is good. I'm not quite as high on some of their additions. Isaiah Likely, they bring him back over from Baltimore. He's fine, but he doesn't really move the needle for me. I think Darnell Mooney, Calvin Austin, those guys don't exactly excite me. They went for volume, I felt like, versus quality, which, I'm not opposed to. If it's Friday night and you want to eat, you're going to find a cheap dive bar or something like that where you can get lots of food versus going filet mignon. And I feel like that's kind of what the Giants have done. They have just sat themselves, took a seat at the buffet, and just started mowing down.
I thought, considering they're in New
analogies.
York, I thought, considering they're in New York, you're going to use an analogy with food such as like street hot dogs or something like that.
Oh, mate, I've had a New York street hot dog, and they are as bad as what you think. But trust me, they are awful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Are you saying the Giants are the tapas of the NFL?
the tapas, yeah. Go, Nick.
Definitely. On the topic of obviously things that are in New York, obviously this will be one of their more exciting teams that they've had in God knows however long, at least since OBJ's been there. Between Dart, they get him back for a full year. They get Skattebo back for however long before he probably gets some sort of concussion again when he runs the ball. I think there's a real chance that people forget this year that the Giants' schedule, and I know that the Giants weren't going to come in as this great team, but they had an outrageously brutal schedule this year. When you go back and look at it, it was outrageous. And they got aided a little bit because, within their division, they picked up a game against Philly. Philly weren't as good. They picked up, I think, a game against Washington. Washington collapsed. So they got lucky with a few things. It could have been a lot worse. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how we sort of judge, if there's a sophomore slump or anything from Jackson Dart, because I'm not sure what their schedule. Obviously, we won't officially know until it comes out in May. But in terms of opponents and everything, does it make it a bit easier for them? How do they go up against, getting ahead of Washington and, maybe they're eyeing off the two other teams in their division as well. Um, my thing that for the Giants, though, looking into the draft,
Yeah.
I've got a very strong feeling, and probably come up in our Draft-a-Palooza, very strong feeling. John Harbaugh's going to get his Cole Hamilton in Caleb Downs from out of Ohio
Okay.
State, another of those
Okay.
hybrid safeties that can do it all. He is a phenomenal talent. Like he's arguably an all-pro waiting. It was playing on Saturdays instead of Sundays. He's that good of a talent. So I wouldn't be surprised with that fifth pick. They bolster up that defense. Their front four set. They signed Tremaine Edmonds from Chicago as one of Chicago's better defensive players, although that wasn't a high bar last season. So he helps with that sort of linebacker core. They'll probably draft a bit more up front in terms of their O line. Maybe get another weapon opposite Malik Neighbors. So they're in a solid spot. So I can see that there's definitely growth. They'll have better coaching now. So yeah, it's just about putting it together, and hopefully they can keep Jackson Dart upright, because that's going to be a big thing. They've got to keep him upright. Otherwise, unfortunately, there could be a bad path if you're taking all these knocks.
You know what? I actually think their schedule this year isn't real great either. Because a lot of these teams that we've been talking about that are making a lot of moves, making themselves better, they're up against them again this year. Obviously, outside of their division, Arizona, Jacksonville, 49ers, Tennessee. They're going to have the Browns, the Saints. That's the home teams. Texans, Colts, Rams, Seahawks. And who are they going to get from the north? It would be the Lions. So, yeah, it's not a great schedule. Hey?
Home games are very easy.
It's not a great schedule again, though. That's because a lot of those teams are just getting better and they're making moves.
Yeah.
So, best case for the Giants though is best case is a winning is a winning season. Get over 9 wins.
Yes.
Get over 9 wins in this division. You're probably going to get second. So, it's because that's what most seasons happens. One team sort of runs away 2 or 3 wins ahead of second place. So to get over 9 wins, you're probably going to get second place. But that does mean you are going to have to win against the Cowboys and or the Eagles, which could be a very hard task.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's how healthy can that defensive line? Because that defensive line is legit scary with Burns and Dexter Lawrence and Abdul Carter. Those guys are the best defensive line. I personally like them better than Phillies. I just think they've had some bad luck. So if they can do it, and if Jackson Dart can kind of improve a little bit, then yeah, I could see him winning 9 games.
That's where the Harbaugh specialty is going to be, isn't it, Brad? It's going to be making that team tough, just in general.
Yep.
Make them tough.
Yeah.
And make them play. I do agree with you. That defense on paper is better than probably 3/4 of the league easily.
Oh yeah, yeah. At least that, and that defensive line, I would say is if not the best, one of the best in the NFL.
And I'll tell you what, they could get better as well with that number 5 pick, because at the moment, Daniel Jeremiah, I just had a look at his mock draft earlier this week. He's got Sonny Styles mocked to him at linebacker. So you would add another amazing weapon to that defense.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Washington Commanders. God, I'm going to struggle to talk about the Washington Commanders. They were at such a high in 2024. 2025 just seemed to go wrong. Every single thing that went right in 2024 went wrong for the Commanders in 2025, including losing their starting quarterback, the young talent in Jaden Daniels, to an injury. And having to use Marcus Mariota a lot more than they needed to. despite the fact that Mariota did a pretty reasonable job in getting them over the line or close to the line in a lot of games, it just didn't come off. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Bill, wasn't great, as good as Build. Terry McLaurin was a no-show for most of the season due to injury, and then everything else just went wrong, as I said, across everywhere. Even their defense, again, pretty reasonable defense, and they were amazing in 2024. It just did not pan out in 25, and they ended up with just 5 wins, and most of the losses were absolute shellackings as well.
I see another season the same. I'm Jaden Daniels, as you said, a couple of years ago, had that great run, but we've seen that before, especially in Washington with RG3. He had that great run and then he just fell off a cliff. And I don't think people were rating him as one of the top QBs in the league last year, and he come out and he did get injured, but and Dan Quinn is supposed to be a defensive guy, and their defense was horrible. I don't really see them being much better this year. I just can't see it.
I think they'll be better because I do like some of their signings on defense, and like what you guys have said, defense is where they really fell down. So I could see him improving on defense. Because what's his name? Odafe Owe, I believe that's how you pronounce him. They gave him a massive contract. And then Leo Chanel, I thought was pretty decent for a linebacker. So they're trying to get tougher. They're revamping things, but as Jaden Daniels goes, so this team goes. And I'm not sure that he's got it in him. And I want to know what happened with Tyler Biadasz, their center. They released him because he was very well regarded. So I don't know if something internally has happened. Like, why would they release that guy? It didn't make sense, that move, because we all know how important a center is, especially to a young quarterback. So I'm curious how they deal with that and how much of an effect that has. But they got a new OC, a new defensive coordinator as well. But my bold take, to be honest with you, is just what Isaac said. It's going to be more of the same, and Dan Quinn's going to get fired. So maybe that's not bold. I don't know, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, it would be such a fall from where they were 2 years ago, wouldn't it? I mean, they went all the way and they had 2 great sort of playoff wins, and then they found their way. Obviously it was a brutal NFC Championship game for them, but they got to the Final Four. Although we talk about everything that they've got on offense, and the issues that they've got there, they haven't been able to keep Jaden upright. He's got a very, very light frame, similar to, like Isaac said, like RG3. We've sort of seen this movie before. Their defense is incredibly old, incredibly slow, and they need to revamp that as well. So they've got a lot of holes that they need to fix. From the vibe I'm getting, I think we all sort of sound like Washington's probably going to be the team that we think is going to be finishing last this year in this division, which is probably a fair shout. And then, if that happens, I think Brad's right in terms of probably finding a new head coach next year. They need to fix all 3 levels on defense. They had spent a little bit on O-line in terms of their free agency. Surprisingly, though, they've got a lot of money still left to sort of spend. They've got 49 mil left to spend in their cap. So it's quite surprising that they didn't really sort of try and go after maybe a few bigger names and stuff like that. So maybe someone to pair alongside, obviously Scary Terry. Obviously Zach Ertz has been productive, but how long's he got left? So they've got a lot of holes that they need to fix. But ultimately, the same conversation that we had sort of with Jackson Dart. If they can't keep Jaden Daniels upright, they're in big trouble. And I think internally that they know that maybe they've got the cap room sort of held off just in case. Maybe internally they're thinking, well, if he's not going to get any bigger or stronger, it's probably a bad thing in terms of durability.
Yeah, I think best case they win 6 games. To be honest
Mm.
with you,
Mhm.
worst
More than
case
that,
is
surely.
okay, 7. Um, and worst case is they're back there at that, especially if Daniels gets hurt, they're back there at that 2-3, and they're vying for the number 1 pick again.
Yeah, I can't disagree with the majority of that. I don't know about apart from the 7 win thing. I don't believe anyone in this division can win seven and be third or fourth. To be honest, Nick, it's just the way this division goes. All right, Brad, it's time for the
Dun, 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 dun.
annoyingly 7-9-1 Dallas Cowboys from 2025. I'm just going to let you go, Brad. It's your time.
Well,
It's your year, Brad.
oh yeah, yes, exactly. You bet it is. And that's kind of what I would say about the 2025 Cowboys is they were probably the most cowboy team imaginable in the sense of the offense is humming. Jerry's getting a lot of press, but that defense was just absolutely, arguably the worst Cowboys defense in the history of the Cowboys. I'm not kidding you. They were that bad. So, and I've been watching most every game of the Cowboys for the past 30 plus years. No, 40 years. Oh, damn, I'm old. Over 40 years. That is embarrassing.
Brad is just realizing the limits of his own
Brad's doing the
mortality.
math.
Yeah, right, exactly. And the defense was just well, yeah, it was an embarrassment. So the good thing is that they've kind of admitted the problem out loud. What they say is just admitting the problem is half the battle. And they've done that. The offense is great. The offense is fine. They finished ninth in rushing, second in passing, seventh in scoring. So the offense is okay. It's that defense they have to do. And to their credit, they decided normally Jerry runs things back, but this year he's not. They bring in Christian Parker from Philly, which I love personally. I absolutely think it's fantastic. So, if you couldn't get Robert Saleh, which no chance in getting him, then I actually really like this move. And so far, he's done everything right, just in terms of an off season and what you'd expect from a coordinator. But if they can keep the offense humming, which they're bringing Pickens back, then I think from an offensive standpoint, great. But every week you're going to hear the same storyline. Can Dak and CD and Pickens overcome this sieve of a defense? And until they prove it on the field, I don't know, because yeah, they trade for Rashawn Gary, but that doesn't really move the needle. You talk to Packer fans. I've been looked at. This is how lame I am, but I've looked at some Packer boards, and Packer fans weren't exactly distraught that they lost Rashawn Gary. So, Cowboy fans are thinking that he's going to be this great savior. No, he's not. He's fine. And they needed him, but to say he's going to turn it around, no. And then Jalen Thompson, they bring in for safety. They talk about his versatility and all this and that. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds with individual guys, but they are, to their credit, they're revamping the defense. They have spent money. It's not like Jerry previous years where we're all in and you get nothing. They actually did do some things. So can they turn the page from Micah Parsons? Well, time's going to tell, really. But so far, I like what they're doing.
This defense, what they could do with Brad, they could do with a star pass rusher in their mid-20s, but I don't know where they'll find one of those. Ah, anyway.
You mean like the one they had?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh,
One of those.
wow,
One of those
yeah,
guys.
go figure.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah.
You summed it up well about the offense. Like every year that Dak has actually managed to stay healthy when he's actually upright, he doesn't miss extended time. It's usually one of the top offenses in the league. You go back and look at
Mm-hmm.
when it was healthy a few years ago, they were really good, even
Yep.
without Pickens. And years before that, obviously with Mike McCarthy. Um, they've been able to manufacture like really good offenses, regardless of who they've had alongside, like Lamb. Even in their run game, that hadn't been that good. They had bolstered O-line sort of last year, so that definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
defense. It's a draft that, like we said, towards the top end. They've got those picks. They can revamp their defense. They can maybe draft another edge. Then you shore up sort of maybe sort of linebacker spots. Yeah, and then even on the back end. So like they need all three levels anyway. So
Yeah, they
they're in a
do.
good spot where they're able to go out and get those guys. There's some good talent in terms of defense in the draft, like we said. Um, in terms of bringing Pickens back, he's got the franchise tag, which is all right. I suppose you can sort of use that money sort of elsewhere next year. I know they won't bring him back the year after because obviously Dak's
Mm.
cap hit is massive.
Yep.
Yeah, but at least this year, look, obviously, like you said, Brad, they know that I think internally they know that they had screwed up with obviously how they not so much that they traded Micah Parsons, but how they handled it.
Yeah.
And I think you'd agree that one thing that Jerry is able to do still at a competent level is that he can still draft good players like towards the top end.
Mm.
Like he found
Mm-hmm.
CD, he found
Mm-hmm.
Mike, he finds these guys. So he's able to draft quite well towards the top end, even when they haven't had super high picks. Um, so yeah, I think they're trending at least in the right direction. You know, another year with Schottenheimer in the league. If you can keep Dak healthy, then you know you're sort of pushing towards that sort of top end. But yeah, they hit on some picks on the defensive side. They don't need to draft any offense. It's just all defense. You know, you hit on
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 players, and then you know it's all of a sudden you can get a competent defense.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut the other guys off, but I just say that the draft pick thing concerns me because they got two first round draft picks, but I could just see Jerry because he loves his offense. If that dude picks Love at pick 14, or if Love is still around and he picks him, I'll just be spitting chips because the last thing we need is a friggin' another offensive star. They got to draft both defense, either trade back or get two defensive players in that draft. But it concerns me.
I think we
Cincinnati West.
already know what he's. Yeah, I think we already know what he's going to do, though. Brad, he was already signalled by saying that the defense was the worst ever. Like Jerry himself said it was terrible. He's already signalled that he's going to go defensive in that draft. It wouldn't surprise me if they used every single pick in their draft on defensive players. Again, the Daniel Jeremiah mock is hilarious to me. They've got pick 12, pick 20. Pick 20 is the Green Bay pick. He has mocked at the Green Bay pick an edge rusher. It's just hilarious.
Well, it's gone from being one of their deepest positions to one of their weakest within just a couple years. And we've seen them giving up on their edge rushers and just not paying them. And then they go and just have DeMarcus Lawrence has a great year, and we've seen it just happen a couple times now. So yeah, watch. It won't happen this next year, but you watch Parsons win the league MVP one year. It'd be so Dallas for that to happen.
The Cowboys do have to make some smart moves in the draft, though. They've got 9 picks in total.
Yeah.
They got those 2 first round picks, 12 and 20. But then they don't have a second round pick, and they don't have the third round is San Francisco's third round. They don't have their own, so that's much later in the draft. So they have to be real careful of what they're actually doing at 1 and 2 because it is going to be a very, very long time before they're back on that board again.
Yep.
And they have to make some reasonably good decisions. Isaac, anything on the Cowboys? Best case, worst case, any of that sort of stuff?
No, you guys summed it up really well, I believe. My only thing on the Cowboys is I've got to ask Brad, is he back to being a Cowboys fan this year or is he still a Seahawks fan?
No, I was never a fully Seahawks fan. But yes, my 1 year quasi hiatus has made me pine for the Cowboys. So yeah, I'm
quasi is the right term, Brad, because we're never truly out.
No, I wasn't. I was never truly out.
They started winning, and all of a sudden, Brad's eyes were lighting up, and he was.
It wasn't just that, but yeah.
It It wasn't the only thing lining up. No.
And best case scenario for me is the offense clicks, the defense is somewhat sustainable and holds some teams out, and they probably get probably 12 or 13 wins.
If that defense just becomes mediocre, middle of the pack in the teens, they could very well get to the playoffs. Easy.
Yeah, I agree with
Win
that.
a playoff game. That's the best case. Win a goddamn playoff game.
Yeah, well, no, we got to win two, okay? I'm sick of this getting to the divisional and losing. So, yeah, we got to win two.
Very true. All right. Philadelphia Eagles. God, this is another hard one to preview. And it's simply because, again, 2024, highest of highs. And 2025 just didn't go exactly where the Eagles wanted it to go. I think this is, for me, a team that is probably the most polarizing. Last year they won a bunch of games, but it was a bunch of easy games. Sorry, I should say, early on they started out winning against the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Rams, and the Bucks, who were flying high at that point. And then they started losing to easy teams, then winning against easy teams and losing to the good teams. It was very, very weird. I still don't know how Nick Sirianni has a job. Philadelphia people, the Eagles fans hate Nick Sirianni, but don't ever want to let go of Nick Sirianni. And I don't know. For me, not a great leader.
But isn't that's the typical Philadelphia relationship? You know?
Is. And
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I love you.
I struggle to say nice things about the Philadelphia Eagles, and as you can all tell.
Well, that's because they're pieces of poo. That's so. I mean, we all
So maybe
know
we
that.
should have an objective voice in the room, not Brad or I. How about Nick? Can you say anything nice about the Philadelphia Eagles for us?
No, nothing at all. No, well,
Yes.
Being a San Francisco fan, can you say anything nice about
Nobody
the Eagles?
likes the Eagles except Eagles
absolutely.
fans.
Let me tee off.
Let me get Manjon on the phone.
Positive.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, well, something positive is that they've still got a lot of talent still in the squad. So like they've still got the pieces there. It's just really how can they put it together? And I think it's weird that when they have these sort of weird down years, it's weird to describe as a down year when you win double digit games and win your division. But I suppose when you come off, dominant year the year before, it sort of is like that. They've got those pieces. It's just sort of assessing where they go from here. The turnover that they've had at these coordinator spots, I think, is just sort of catching up to them finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think if you're an Eagles fan, you're probably sitting. Look, we'll use the news from earlier this week about JSN getting that massive contract. So he's the highest paid wide receiver now at $42 million a year. I think if there are teams that still need receivers, I think maybe AJ Brown's value might have gone a little bit more up because that contract doesn't look as bad now because of all these guys getting paid. You also think, I'm not sure if by this point, maybe Puka Nacua, maybe he might be resetting the market in LA. So you might be able to flip that maybe before the draft if they're able to find a suitor with that. But they've still got a lot of talent. They do need to fix up their O-line. That was sort of overlooked. They lost a few guys. They got away with their interior. We all thought the collapse would happen without Jason Kelsey, who retired the year before. It sort of did happen a little bit this year, which was weird. They had Lane Johnson out with injury. He's how old now? He's into I think he's late 30s almost. So, how much longer do they have left with him? So they do need to fix up their O-line. They can get that in sort of the first round. Defense is still pretty solid. I think they were able to pick up Jordan Davis on a 3-year deal. So that helps with the inside alongside Jalen Carter. They've got the talent. It's just about, where their headspace is at. It's just that weird sort of thing that they had 2 years ago just came back again. But I expect them still to be, double-digit win team. They've got too much talent to not be. Saquon Barkley will probably be back in good form. Maybe not 2 years ago, but I'd say it's still really good form.
they're the safest bet, I think, in the NFC East. I hate saying that; it hurts me, but yeah, I think your point about the coordinators is good. I think this is going to be Sean Mannion's their OC, his first offense. So and I don't really see Hollywood Brown moving the needle very much with that in that receiver room. So
Yeah,
and Devontae Smith, I think, is a little underrated actually.
yeah.
But AJ Brown is overrated. So I think it's just for culture purposes. They got to get rid of Brown.
Yeah, we're all expecting that AJ Brown's going to get moved somewhere around the draft. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
I was just about to say, yeah, they need to get him out ASAP.
It seems like
Otherwise, it's going to become too much.
Yeah.
it seems like they're hanging on to him, and they'll end up moving him for a draft pick. That's just what Howie Roseman, by far and away, the best drafting GM in the entire NFL, probably even in history. The way he's going, I fully expect that he's going to be moved for a draft pick, like a second rounder or something silly.
Well, they're saying the rumor is they want a first, but I don't see how.
Which
they
I
can
think
get
that they'll get a
first.
second. That's more what I'm sort of.
Yeah.
I think that they're
Yeah.
saying they want a first, and they're putting that out there so they can get like a second, early third.
Yeah, right.
Which is probably one of the scariest things when you already look at their draft picks and the way he drafts. They've got multiple third, fourth, fifth, and sixth round draft picks already, like two in each of those rounds, and that's where Harry Roseman does his best work in those rounds. He picks up guys that just become superstars in those rounds.
I'll be interested to see what rumors come out of the Philadelphia Eagles when AJ Brown goes. So last year you heard a bit about Jalen Hurts not being liked in the locker room and all that type of stuff because they've got a scheme up around his play. So once AJ Brown goes, does that all calm down or does that all ramp up? Or you just don't know. It could go either way.
I think it calms down. Just because I think he was an easy little bit of a scapegoat. But AJ Brown's just one of these guys that just wherever he goes, he burns his bridges. He's like that. So teams can put up with him for a couple of years, and then they got to move on because he's just your typical wide receiver diva.
Well, Isaac, I think that's a wait and see sort of point because you mentioned about the rumors about their offense being constructed around Jalen Hurts. Now, if that continues next season and AJ Brown's gone, then you can sort of see then maybe it's a Jalen Hurts thing. Because as well as there's been rumors about Jalen Hurts not being that liked in the locker room. The flip side is that contrary to what people think, a lot of the players sort of buy in and really like about how Nick Sirianni goes about it, although unorthodox. But if that rumor becomes true, it would mean that a lot of the struggles that they've had offensively might probably continue, as what we saw this year.
Another thing I really wanted to get some of your guys' opinion on. This week, the Eagles traded with the Carolina Panthers for Andy Dalton and gave the Panthers a 2027 seventh round pick. It's interesting because Andy Dalton is currently listed as a QB3, and they gave him a 1 year, $8 million contract to do that. Do you see? Dalton has been in many places over the last few years where he's been like that calming force, that extra QB coach on the sideline, etc. We saw that a lot with Bryce Young at the Panthers. Do you feel like maybe there might be, Brad, a little bit of the same here where they might try and guide Jalen Hurts through something that maybe they're starting to see out of Jalen Hurts?
Well, I think for sure, no matter what, no matter how you look at it, this was a character pick. They obviously this was not Andy Dalton is a great quarterback that we need to have as our backup. No, this is Andy Dalton is another coach, and we want him, and we believe in Andy Dalton the person just as much or more than Andy Dalton the player, and that's so they were willing to invest in and give up a 7th round draft pick. So absolutely, I think he's one of his objectives is going to be to go into that QB room and probably speak to Hurts in terms of this is probably the best way we can go about it. And Andy's enough of a veteran that he's not going to do it in a manner which pisses people off. So yeah, I think obviously there's more to it than what we know, but I think it was a smart move.
Because they've still got Tanner McKee on a rookie contract.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to imagine that they're going to keep sort of trying to progress him as a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Which I always love that idea, to have a decent rookie as your backup QB. Because they might.
Yeah, you got to be
him.
developing. You got to be developing guys.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, it was very interesting. It was just more the amount of money that they were willing to pay him was the interesting part to me.
Well, and give up a draft pick. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it's a 7th rounder for in 27. So
yeah.
Anyway, Philadelphia Eagles. There we go.
The NFC East, the best division in professional sports.
Oh, Ian's gone dark.
Ian's gone dark. We're
Oh,
gonna
look at
finish.
that.
We're gonna finish with Ian in the dark.
It's the
He's on the
crickets.
chair.
Jeez, stop.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you need to go back to the one earlier. in the
Talking
week.
about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again.
Someone shut me down for all my negative attitude towards the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. On that note,
Ian's just run out of diesel. His lights have just turned off.
Yeah, we got. There's nothing left up here in the Upper Hunter. All right. Thank you very much for listening. At G'day Gridiron everywhere on the socials. Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. I'm currently up against no lights, sneezing my brain out, so we're going to try and finish this. You can catch us next week where we're going to go through the AFC South and then the AFC East to finish off our breakdown series before we get into a whole heap of draft content for 2026.
And don't forget, go buy a T-shirt if you can from the T Republic T Public. Sorry,
T Public. Yes, you will. Sorry, Brad. Thank you very much, Brad, for guiding me that way. Yes, there is currently a sale now on our merch store, up to 35% off. You can get T-shirts for as low as $16. You can also get hats, stickers, jumpers, hoodies, whatever you want. Heaps of different merch designs from around the Aussie Gridiron Network, as well as just our own G'day Gridiron stuff, which is amazing. You will find the link to that actually at Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Go to there and just have a look through the merch store. Buy yourself some awesome merch and rep G'day Gridiron and AGN and get us out there everywhere. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We will see you next week. Bye.
Fails. Go Chuck Norris.